The Magewell Director Mini just got a massive firmware update. Version 2.4 adds a whole bunch of new features like network bonding, instant replay, a built-in RTMP server, and PTZ control of OBSBOT webcams. Let's dive in. Hi, I'm Aaron Parecki. In this video, I want to share a few of my favorite features about the new 2.4 firmware update of the Magewell Director Mini. While the Magewell Director Mini can already pull in an SRT feed, it now also includes a built-in RTMP server. That means you can actually stream to this device from other devices like an A10 Mini or some cameras. Of course, SRT is going to be a lot more reliable than RTMP. I actually have another video on my channel that goes way deep about exactly why that is true, but sometimes there are devices that you have that don't support SRT yet, like a lot of actual cameras or even a lot of streaming encoders. And in those cases, it can be useful to stream to the Magewell Director Mini from that RTMP client. And with the new feature, you can actually now stream directly into this without going through an external service. When you go to add a new video source, there's a new option called RTMP Push. If you tap on that, you can give it a name and then type in a stream key. I'll go ahead and type in test as the name and give the stream key 1234. And now I can actually see on the screen the RTMP URL that I can push to from another encoder. You're actually seeing two IP addresses here because I'm connected both over Ethernet as well as Wi-Fi, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So over in the software control, type in the server address, which will be rtmp://10.11.70.1 in my case, /live, the full path. And then for the stream key, enter the stream key that types into the software. In my case, 1234. And now, as soon as I press on air, it's going to start streaming to the Director Mini. And if I switch over to the Director Mini, you can see this RTMP source is now showing the still frame that's on my ATEM. I can go ahead and cut the ATEM's angle to camera 1, which is my main camera here, and this is the RTMP stream coming over the network into the Director Mini. And you can see the delay between my main camera plugged in over HDMI as well as the RTMP version is actually pretty small. That's because I'm on a local network here. This will also work by pushing an RTMP feed from other kinds of devices like cameras that have built-in streaming capabilities like the GH5 Mark II or even the DJI Pocket 3. Any of those cameras that can stream to an RTMP server can now stream directly into the Director Mini. I've actually used this RTMP server feature of their other Magewell products a lot in the past. The Magewell Pro Convert has a built-in RTMP server as well, and it's really handy to be able to do things like this, routing signals from various places, sometimes across the internet, in order to get these streams created. Moving on to the next feature is instant replay. Sports fans will enjoy this one. The Director Mini now has an instant replay feature. I'm not going to go too deep into how this works, but I will give you a little peek about how to configure it and how to use it. The way this works is it can be continuously recording both of the encoders that are on the Magewell Director Mini, and then you can use those in instant replays. So first, to turn this on, go to your settings, go to the replay button, and enable this. Now, if you're not going to use the instant replay feature, don't turn this on because this will use more resources. So this is just going to be continuously recording now. Notice that here it's giving me two replay cameras, so it's got two recorders built in, and it's going to be recording from this one, the first encoder, and this will be recording the second encoder. Now this does work the same way as using the encoders for other things, which means you can change the resolution and the bitrate and format of the recorder and choose which source it's recording. So for example, in the encoder settings, I can say that encoder 1 will be recording the program feed, but encoder 2 will be recording only HDMI 2. When you set up the encoder, you can choose the encoding source between program or any of your inputs, and then you can also choose the codecs and resolutions and frame rates. So once you've configured which angles you want to be recording for instant replay use, drop into your instant replay feature here, and now you can choose all the different settings. You can choose how long the buffer is that it'll go and do a replay for. You can choose whether to jump back 5 seconds or more. You can even add a graphic to show in the corner when the replay is going, and you can add a stinger transition to bring in and out the replay. It actually comes with this built in, which is what I'll show in this demo, but you can add your own videos as well. You get audio options as well, and you can even do side by side of showing both angles at the same time. So once this is set up, let's go back into our main program controller and see how this works. Remember, my instant replay recorder is recording the program feed, so if I switch between them, that gets recorded for instant replay use, as well as HDMI 2, which is just this angle. Once this is set up, you'll have another button in here, which is quick replay or set event and event replay. And if you're going to use this often, I would recommend customizing this menu to actually add those onto your main screen. quick event, set event, and event replay. I need to take one off in order to do that. So let's actually remove the pen feature because I don't need that right now. And I'll then add back in event replay. Now that my menu is configured, I get quick access to these buttons right here. So if I want to just do a quick instant replay of whatever the last 10 seconds was on program, I can just tap this and it'll immediately run the stinger and go back and do a replay with the logo in the corner of the last 10 seconds. You can see the progress bar there. You can skip ahead, forward and backward. You've got a speed. And then as soon as it's done, it runs the stinger again. And now we're back live. And that was all totally hands off. The other option you have is the set event. So if something interesting happens, you can just press that. It goes ahead and saves the event, but it doesn't do anything with the program. Now, when you're ready to show that, you can tap the other button, which is actually called event replay, which is that icon. I'm actually going to record a second event to show you what this does. If I have 2 events saved, now there's 2 different events saved, 2 different interesting things happened, and I'm ready to show some replays during a break or whatever. I can now tap on that button and it brings up this little menu. And I can now choose which event to replay. We'll go ahead and tap event 2. And now it's going to go and run that stinger and go and play that back. I can also choose to cut to the other angle or even do a side-by-side of this to show what's happening during that event. And as soon as that is done, it's going to run the stinger and go back to the program. Moving on to the next really interesting feature, which is built-in network bonding. Now this is actually built in using the Speedify service. I've done a couple videos on my channel about Speedify before. It's a service that will let you combine multiple network connections that are on one device into a single connection for more reliability. Normally, this is an app you can install on a computer or Raspberry Pi or even on your phone, but now it's just built into the Director Mini. If I swipe down from the top here and go to this new option here in network bonding, if I tap that, it says connecting, and now it's on. So it'll take whatever network connections are available and combine them into one internet. There are several different ways to get internet connections on here. You can connect a wired Ethernet, you can also connect it to Wi-Fi, and you can plug in a USB cellular modem as well. I have 2 connected right now. You can see here my Ethernet and Wi-Fi. And now that I've enabled Speedify, it's actually using both in order to stream the data. So this means if I'm live and then suddenly my main Ethernet goes away, I'm not going to lose my stream because it still has the Wi-Fi that it's using to stream. And as far as the device is concerned, it just sees a connection that's still there. And if the Ethernet connection comes back at some point, then it'll resume streaming over Ethernet. One thing I did notice is that there's no account. You don't need a Speedify account to use this apparently, because it's just built in, which is a pretty clever integration on Magewell's part. If you do go into the settings here and go into your network tab, there is a new network bonding section up here, which is locked because it's enabled. But if you go into the settings, you can see this is where you can sign in. So by default, you have a free account on Speedify, which is limited to 2 gigs. But if you do pay for a Speedify, you can go ahead and sign in here, and then you can use your higher bandwidth limits on your account. You can also go ahead and change the bonding mode here. By default, it goes to Speed Plus, but if you wanted to, you could change it to redundant mode or streaming mode. It's definitely worth going and reading Speedify's documentation on exactly what those do if you're curious. Moving on, another amazing feature they added is the ability to use web pages as graphics sources. So you can go tap the graphics tab, click on plus here, and then go to the web page here, and now you can type in a URL. Now, it is a lot easier to do this on a computer where you can copy and paste. So I'm actually going to go ahead and switch over to my computer screen where I can copy and paste and type faster over here. So back in the web interface, I've logged in, I go to the Produce tab, click on Graphics, and here it's just a lot faster to type or even copy and paste. So I'll go ahead and just add in my overlay that I use for my main stream, and we will go ahead and bring this into the stream. I normally use a web page for graphics during my streams, mainly to show comments. So I'm gonna go ahead and just click this, which is a web page that I've created for my own comments on my streams. I've got links down below to other videos where I talk about how that works. But one option is to use my live chat overlay Chrome extension to show comments on your stream as well. Once this is created, it now shows up as a graphics source, and I can toggle it to bring it on screen. And now when I'm doing a stream and I see my comments on the iPad here, which is what I normally do when I'm doing a stream at the desk, I can go ahead and just tap one and it'll show up on the screen. And you can see the Magewell Director Mini is actually rendering that web page on top of my video here. It has the transparent background and everything like you'd expect. The only one thing I did notice is that you might notice this is not the normal font that I use. I guess for whatever reason, the custom fonts that I use are not loading in this web page yet. Maybe they'll fix that in an update. But I didn't have to do any other tweaks to make this work. It just shows the comment and it's already the right size. I also use web graphics to show the map of all my viewers on live streams. So I can go here, add a new overlay, which is the map URL. And this is actually going to load in all my viewer locations. As people join the chat, they say where they're from and it puts their icon on the map. You can also see there's a lot of different options here for adding the web graphics. You can actually change the zoom level if you want to make it small instead of full screen, and you can even make it partially transparent. This can be kind of fun for an intro screen so people can see a little bit of what's happening behind the scenes before you get going. And it can render this graphics with a little bit of transparency. For this demo, let's just go ahead and make it about 20% transparent and go ahead and click add. Then I'll toggle this one off and I'll bring on the map. And I will now show you what it looks like on the screen, which is this. So you could imagine that as I'm getting ready for the stream, I don't want it to be quite on screen yet, but I want to give you a little bit of a sense of something happening back here. Now you can see all the viewer locations and see a little bit through the web graphics here. And it's doing a great job of rendering that map. And as people are going to be saying where they're from, all their icons will start appearing just like they do on my normal graphics engine. So those are a couple of the big features that caught my attention on the update. However, there are a few other small details I want to go over really quickly as well. First, they actually added support for controlling the OBSBOT webcams directly. So I have over here a little OBSBOT Tiny 2 webcam, which is OBSBOT sent me to share with you on the channel here. Done a couple of demos of it in live streams and things, but now you can just plug this directly into the Magewell Director Mini, and of course it sees it as a webcam. But not only that, if you long press on the image and go to PTZ, there's no setup needed. It just has PTZ control now. So you can just tap on this and it will just move the camera like you'd expect. You can turn on and off autofocus. You can store preset positions. You can even do zoom in and out. And it's directly controlling the webcam from the Director Mini. It's a little bit choppy because this is actually a preview of the camera feed. It's not on program right now. So as I've been tweaking that image, this is what's been on program the whole time, which is actually really great. It means you can set up your angles without changing to them first. If I do have it on screen on program and then go to edit it, then this screen is no longer choppy. This is showing real time because that is what's on program. Another new feature they added is the ability to output both NDI and an RTMP output at the same time. It used to be the case that if you went into the streaming settings and turned on NDI, that's the only thing that you could ever output. You would not be able to also add RTMP. But now you can go ahead and turn on NDI output and still enable an RTMP destination. And that's really great because that just gives you more flexibility. Another really nice touch they added is the ability to set custom images when there is no signal received from one of your inputs. What I mean by that is if I just yank one of these connectors, then HDMI 2 is still here as a video source. And actually, if it's on screen when it happens, you get this blue no signal. But you can now actually customize this. This is also something you can only set up in the web interface. It's not available on the Director Mini itself. So back on the web page, if you go over to the input tab, this shows you your status of what inputs are connected. I have one HDMI and one webcam now. And down here, you can choose what image to show when there is no signal available. So by default, it's this blue one, and you can go for each source and change that to a different graphic. So I have my own artwork, for example, this no signal image that I made. So I can go ahead on HDMI 2 and press that. You can also do this for webcams or even the RTMP SRT phone camera or NDI sources. It's particularly useful for RTMP in case that connection drops. And then you don't have just a generic placeholder image. You can actually customize that. You can make it say the name of the person whose link was lost, or go to a photo of them or something like that, depending on what you're doing. I'll go ahead and just use my own custom artwork here. And I'll use that for HDMI 1 and the webcams and just put them all to that. You can upload your own artwork from your computer, which is nice. So you don't even have to load it onto the SD card. I've already done that, so it shows up here. And now if we take a look at the Director Mini itself, now that there is no HDMI source plugged in, it's got my own branding here. So let's plug this back in and pretend like we're actually live. And let's say that's on the air, and then for some reason the cable gets bumped or the power for a camera runs out. And now it just cuts over to my own custom branded no signal, and I can cut away, and that looks a lot better than the generic one. Another fun feature they added is the ability to show comments from your live streams on the stream. This is another feature that only works from the web interface right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in here, and I'm logged into the web page and in the Produce tab. Now, if you are logged into YouTube and streaming to a logged in account, Then comments from your stream will actually appear in this new live comments section. Turn this on, this live comments box, and then comments from your stream will show up in this list, and you can click them to show them on the stream. Now, if you don't like the way these look for whatever reason, you can also bring in comments through any kind of software that can bring in comments as a web page by using the graphics tab like we mentioned earlier. For example, if I'm streaming to YouTube and I have some comments here, I can actually go ahead and click the little pop-out chat. And this is what it looks like after you've installed my live chat overlay Chrome extension. I'll link to that down below. If you click on this get overlay URL, this will give you a URL that you can paste into the Director Mini. Let's go ahead and try that. Go back over to the Director Mini, go to the Produce tab, go to the Graphics tab, click Add, and I'll paste in this URL that I got from the chat extension. By default, it's transparent because there's no comment being shown. So I'll just go ahead and click Add and click to bring it on the stream. And now if I am back in my chat tab and click one of these messages, it's going to actually show it in that tab. So going back over to the Director Mini, we can see that it actually shows the comment on the stream here. And if we look at the Director Mini, I'm gonna go ahead and click the comment on the computer again, and it shows up just like you'd expect as a web page overlay on top of the stream. Another great feature they added, which is too much to get into in detail right now, is that the NDI and SRT feeds are now compatible with ZoomISO. So for example, if you're using the Director Mini to bring in guests through Zoom, then you can use ZoomISO to bring in your guests as individual angles in your Director Mini. ZoomISO is a separate product from Zoom with a separate subscription, but it's a great way to bring in high quality feeds from remote guests without them having to do anything other than join a Zoom. And the last quick feature I want to mention is that there are new options for using the USB output of the Director Mini. If you pull down from the top here, there's this external screen tab. And if I tap that, there are now more options than there were before. I can click duplicate screen, which is how I show this screen on the stream in this recording to show you what's going on. Or I can now choose Multiview, which is actually going to change the HDMI output into this multi-view layout that shows you all the different angles at once. You can see I've got preview and program on the top, and then the 3 angles that I have added. Now, if I do go ahead and add more video sources, I'm gonna go ahead and load a couple of video sources in here really quick. And now, for example, I have 2 video clips in here, as well as an NDI feed from my ProConvert. And now if I look at the multi-view, it's showing us all the angles at once. So as I am switching angles, you can see that the program and preview change. And if I tap on one of the video clips, I can go ahead and play it, and you see it playing in the multi-view. And you can see all the angles at once. So this can be really useful to pull up on a larger screen in front of you so that you can see much larger than what you get on the small monitor here. So this has been your quick update on the new features in the Magewell Director Mini version 2.4 firmware. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, or join one of my weekly live streams on Sundays if you want to see any of these demonstrated live. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.